welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. Before I get started painting some really pretty fuchsia pods, I'd like to show you the canvas I'm using. This is a Frederick's red label canvas, and it is a medium texture. It is wonderful. I use it for acrylics and I use it for oil, and I'm just very, very happy with this, so I recommend that you give this a try. And you'll see as I'm painting how easy it's going to be to use this type of a high quality canvas, okay? So, wanted to show you that first, and as you can see, I already drew on some fuchsia pods, okay? So what I say pods is with the fuchsia flower, they have these kind of round pods, and then they open up into a hanging flower, and there's hundreds of varieties, okay? So today, just to keep things simple, I'm painting the pods before they open, all right? And I'm gonna put some nice leaves on here and do a pretty a background, just flip-flopping some paint around, okay? Today I am using all Deco art products. I'm using the premium acrylics. Beautiful, beautiful colors you can see here. High pigment colors. I'm using a bunch of Deco Art Traditions brushes in different sizes, and we'll make sure we post those for you, okay? And what I have done to start is I took medium and I mixed it in with my paints, 1 part to 4 parts, all right? And just to show you how I did it, I took the medium, put it by the paint, and just mixed it up really well with this palette knife. And this will help the paint stay longer so you can paint longer and blend easier. It overall will just help you with your painting, okay? So there we go. So I just wanted to mix the one. These are already mixed, and a limited palette today, all right? So I'm gonna be mixing some colors, and I'm just gonna wipe off my knife there in case I need that again. I don't have all that red paint on there. And then we will get started, all right? There we go. So I think I'm going to start with the big brush, okay? This is a #1 brush, a flat brush, and what I'd like to do first is get a pretty background on, so our pretty fuchsias can just look like they're right in front of, you know, maybe some greenery in the background, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just dipping in my brush in water. Want to make sure that's damp. I'm going to first go into my light green, and I want it pretty liquidy, okay? I don't know if liquidy is the right word. Let's just say I want a nice thin consistency of paint, all right? So I'm just pulling it out into my mixing area here, and I think I'm going to add a little tiny bit of white to that. I want to tone that down just a little. I don't want it quite that dark, okay? And what I'm going to start doing is just flip-flopping back and forth. And on this medium grade painting, you can see how well the paint moves around. Between having the medium in there and the nice high grade of the painting, it's wonderful. Now I did do this on, my drawing is pencil, and I didn't put a fixative on it. I'm not too worried about it because I'm gonna go right over it, all right? You can see that I'm actually just even going over with the paint. So, and that's okay, because I don't have to see the whole thing. I just wanted to see a little bit just to give me an idea of where I'm going. All right, so I flip-flopped a little bit of paint on there. I want to change the color a little, so what I'm doing, I'll just show my palette once in a while, and then you're going to get the idea. So I just put a little yellow in there just to change it a little bit. All right, lighten it up a little by putting a little white. All right, there we go. Nice pale green color. I want to brighten that up a little, all right? I want to get some yellow in there. Yellow-green. There we go. So that's just going to be a little bit of the background. Like I said, I'm going to be putting some leaves on there, and a lot of that will get covered up depending on how much time I have. I want to make sure I get that color in between my pods. And as I come down lower to the canvas, I'll get a little bit lighter. So again, just dipping the brush in a little water, getting some white, just making the color lighter, a little bit of green and yellow. Try to hold that up a little. See, I really lighten that up. Want to get a little more yellow in there. All right, so it's nice and smooth, a little wet, and I'll see how that color looks. Oh, I kind of like that color. All right, so I'm going to put some of this around. I'm not going to paint this whole thing. I don't want it to be solid, so I'm going to come in and put a little bit of a nice fuchsia color in there. just to bring the colors together, a little bit more color harmony to the painting. All right, I'll just try to get down here at the bottom. I can always do that later. My canvas is blocking it a little. Bring some of this up. So you can see I have a little bit of an impressionistic background already. Again, I'm just kind of painting over. Want to make sure I paint up into those fuchsia pods. Now, again, what I'm doing, I'll go a little bit slower. I'm flip-flopping the brush back and forth. When I see these brush strokes, I'm not smoothing them. I'm actually leaving them. All right, I'm pushing the brush because I saw I had some dark in there. So want to get some of that dark on there, mix that up a little bit. Now, what I'd like to do is make a nice, I guess like a magenta kind of color. And what I have here is not the Deco Art Acrylic Premium, which comes in the tubes. I have the Traditions, which comes in the bottle. Now, this little bottle goes a long way. You can do dozens and dozens of products with this. Projects, I'm sorry, because the pigment is really amazing. If I take just a little tiny bit and scoop up some red like this, look at this color, and that might even be too much. Okay, see, so you have to experiment back and forth when you have these high pigment colors. Now, I have like an orangey purple. Let me see what color I want to put in. I'm going to put a little white and see what happens. There we go. Look at that. So I have like a little bit of a pink color. I made it, so go back to that purple again. So I'm trying to get like a purpley color, but I do want to warm up that purple with some of this red. So I'm just kind of going back and forth, okay? And I kind of like that. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to put my palette down. I'm going to add a little white to the end of it because I want to lighten that up and get a very, very pale, pale purple color. All right, so what I want to do with this is I want to come in and just put a little bit here and there. But I'm just going to put a little, and then I'm going to come back and I want to blend it. Okay, so I'm going to just come in with another flat brush. This is a smaller brush, a 3/4 brush, and I want to come and blend it out. Okay, so again, X's, X's, X's. So maybe in the person's mind that's looking at this, the viewer, they may say, oh, there's more pods in the background, okay? So this way I'm just depositing some of this color. Now, some of it, like I said, may be covered up, all right? Because I'm going to be putting leaves, but just want to really give it some interest, this background. See, so I just deposited some on there. I'm just blending it with the other brush. And no rhyme or reason as to where I'm putting it. I just don't want to make a pattern with it, all right? So there we go. And I think that might be pretty good. You can see now when I'm blending with this brush, I'm pushing pretty hard, all right? And it looks like I picked up a little paint over there, so I can always come and pull a little over and come back, or I can go in my green and put that back in, all right? So you can see how you can go back and forth. You can't be afraid to jump in. Just jump right in and try it. This is acrylic paint. If you don't like it, you can always go back. See, it's already drying. I can always go back and change it up again. When you're blending, though, you want to try to blend when it's wet, and your medium will help with that, okay? So I'm going to put that brush in there in my water bucket for now. I'm going to wipe off my big brush because I loaded that one with paint, and I'm going to put that in my water bucket. We want them always to stay nice and damp. We don't want the paint to get in the ferrule of the brush. We don't want to ruin our beautiful brushes, okay? Again, these are the Deco Art Traditions, and they're wonderful, wonderful all medium brush, all right? So what I would like to do now is I think I'm going to paint one of the pods, and then maybe we'll put some leaves on. We'll go back and forth a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go to, I think, a little bit of a bigger brush. This is a half angle brush, and it's called an angle brush because it is on an angle, okay? This is like a flat brush that's just cut on an angle. So I love to use this brush if you're going along an edge. It makes things very easy, even for double loading paint, all right? So what I'm going to do is that color that I used for the background, I'm going to come in and load my brush with that color, all right? And I'm going to come in, I think we'll do this big one first. And I'm going to come in, and that looks like a nice fuchsia color, all right? I'm just going to come along the edge like this, and I'm just going to paint this in, all right? There we go, go around the edge. And I'm gonna come in while it's damp and put some highlights on it. Now I'm not worried if I don't well, not that I don't want to stay in the lines. I don't have to stay in the lines for this painting, but I can cover all my pencil lines up. That's what I wanted to say. I can just cover those up very easily. The paint will cover the lines. You can see that's the shape that I was doing there. I was going with that shape, so I'm trying to go with the shape of the pod itself, okay? And again, back and forth in my paint, and I'm gonna have to move this a little closer or pick it up, I think. There we go. So I think I'll lean it like this for now. There's my paint, because I have to keep going back to the paint. It's a pretty big area. I'm using a brush that might be, I could have probably used a bigger one, but I wanted to show you this angle brush and how well it works, okay? See, I can take the angle and really push it into that corner. And right now, I'm just putting on this darker color. All right, and then I'm going to come in with a lighter color. So I want to at least show you one, just in case I don't have time to do them all. Not at least show you one. I want to show you one to completion, I should say. That's why I'm using a little bit of a bigger brush. And see, I'm turning the brush. I want to get that angle right there. So I'm turning it, and I want this angle. So you can see you can use the brush just the way it is and get in that little corner. So now I have just the background color of it. So I can go into a little bit of the white and come over, maybe dip a little in the medium, all right? And I'm just mixing. Sorry if you can't see that all. I'll try to hold it down sometimes so you can. And I want to come in and get some other color. I still want to keep the form of the pods, but I want to blend a little bit of this color on top. Okay, so you can see I have some of the dark showing, and now I have that lighter color. Okay, so that's how it really, really makes it come to life a little more. So I'm going to lighten it again. So I took more white, and I'm coming to the end of my puddle of paint, and I'm moving over and moving over. I'm going to hold that up. So what I'm doing is I'm making a value change. And what I mean by value change, I'm getting lighter and lighter and lighter by adding more white to the original color. So I'm not changing the color, changing the value of it, darks and lights. You can see the difference, okay? So I made that even lighter again. So now I can come in and I can just very lightly shape the pods. Okay, and at the end, if time permits, I can always come back and I can outline and neaten that up a bit. So that's how I would do all of these pods. So now I want to get some leaves in, then I'll go back to the pods, all right? So for the leaves, I'm going to go to my brush that I used before, okay, which is very, very popular brush. If you can only buy 3 of these brushes, I would recommend definitely getting the 3/4 because you'll use that a lot. Get yourself 1 filbert and 1 round brush, and you can pretty much do anything with those. All right, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to get some leaves in to show you and a couple of these stems. And I think the way I'm going to go with these leaves is I'd like to double load the brush. So I'm dipping each side in a different green and coming over and double loading. I'm going to dip in that medium, all right? Now, I'm going to hold this up and see, and it looks like it's going to match nice, okay? What I may do is just take a little more yellow on that side and yellow that a little, because I think I like the idea of it blends a little bit more with that background color. There we go. So now I have that brush double loaded, all right? So when I say I'm double loading, that's exactly how I'm doing it. You see, both colors. I could see a little yellow there. I can go back and blend that in more. So if I want to start putting leaves and stems, I can just start to pull my stems up. So I'm holding it on the chisel edge, which means it's flat on the edge, and I'm pulling up, all right? And while I have this on, I'll do them all. Now, I did paint out 1 leaf here just to make things a little easier. And I didn't put them all on, all right? So when we're doing a 1-stroke leaf, I can just push the brush down, 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 and to the chisel edge, okay? Now, I want to make that a big leaf. So I'll just do the same thing. I'm doing it backwards and coming down with it, okay? Now, I made that look easy, and I'm going to be honest with you, that is not so easy. I actually turned my hand and did it the other way. That's something you have to practice. What I suggest is you lay some paper out and you just do leaves and just practice. push, turn, and lift to the end, okay? Now, I'm just going back and I'm putting more paint on my brush, just double loading it the way that you just saw, okay? I'm gonna leave my palette down here, putting my yellow in there, changing that color up a little bit, all right? So again, you can see. And I think I'll come and I'll put another leaf here. Now, if I want to make it bigger, I can turn it and do the other side, or I can just leave it as is. Now, I might have put a little bit too much medium in there, and I can wipe that off, that little edge there, but because I could see it's a little transparent. So I may go and put more paint, and that's something that you're going to learn. Again, the more you paint, the more you will, you'll see how to use the mediums and what you'll be able to do, okay? So what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling it down. I'm making them a little longer, all right? So you can make all different sizes and double leaves and single leaves. Now, what you can do if you want to really be accurate with that is take a picture of your fuchsia, if you have any. I happen to have some on my porch, and that's what gave me this idea to do these today. Or you can go on the internet, all right? And one thing about fuchsia, which I have to tell you, if you never had them, they are hard to take care of. When it's warm out, you have to water them 3 times a day. So I've been out there watering fuchsia. All right, now, see I did that one a little on the side, and I'm going to push and turn it and make it this side a little bigger. And that's a little darker, and that's good, okay? So just to show you how to put in a couple leaves, I want to go back and do a few more pods, and I think I'm going to use this bigger brush because I want to make sure I have enough time to complete a little more of this painting for you, all right? So I just wiped it off. I'm wiggling it in my water a little bit, patting it on the paper towel, trying to get some of that green out, and I'm going to have to mix a little bit more paint here, all right? So again, here is my Dioxazine purple. I think I'll mix a little bit more this time. This way I have enough because I'm going to have to go a little bit faster to get a little bit more done. All right, and there is my nice, rich fuchsia color. It actually does look like a fuchsia color to me. All right, I'll put a little bit more medium in there. Make sure that it's nice and smooth, and we'll see if it might be a little darker than the last one, and that's fine too. All right, so I'm going to come in here. Oh, that might be too dark now, okay? And that's easy fix. I'm just wiping my brush off. I'm going to come in here, add more red, come in, maybe get the tiniest bit of white, and lighten that up a little bit more. All right, so that's just a little adjustment. Now you can pre-mix all your paints ahead of time and then start to paint, or you can do it like this, all right? I don't always pre-mix my paints on this show because I want to show you how I'm mixing them, all right? So sometimes, since I take time to teach more, I don't always get done, but at least you're getting a good lesson, okay? So you can see how with the bigger brush it works fine too, all right? And that's a nice pod there. And here's another pod. So now that I have that color mixed, hopefully I have enough and I can do these all. Nice pod. So again, what I'm doing is I'm just painting in the big area of it, all right, just to get it on, and then I will go back and do the highlighting. So what I want to do is I could do 2 at a time because I want to make sure that that is still wet when I go to highlight, all right? So let me find my other brush. It got a little lost there in my bucket, and I'm going to go to that lighter color again that I used before, and I'm going to come in thinking of the way the pod actually falls and the shape of it. I can just come in here and make a couple of lines to show that this is the way that the pod is going. All right, and hopefully you can see that. And what I'll do is I'll come back and make it a little bit lighter again, like I did before. I want to make sure that you can see the pod shape, okay? So the pod shape could be like this, and then I can just blend it in. See how easy it blends, so easy because of that medium, okay? So you can see how now that pod is. And I think I'll put a little bit more lighter color on this one so you can see that pod, okay? And like I said, you will take your time when you do it. And for color harmony. I just want to get a little bit of this darker color in there, okay? So I can come back, I may outline them, but what I want to do is let me get these other pods on. So like I said, I did kind of draw this in just to show the way the pod went, but I'm going right over it. But in my mind's eye, I remember it went this way, okay? So if I were just to paint that in, I remember it went that way. And that's why it's good sometimes if you want to draw your picture on there, okay? It helps you. You're going to go over it anyway. And you may say, oh, why would I, draw it if I'm going over it? But it helps you in your mind. You're going to remember it's only a couple seconds while you're looking at it, and then you're painting on it. And it helps. It does help a lot. Same thing here. So I can see which way my pod goes this way, and then I have another section there, all right? So I'm just kind of painting it the way I see it going down. Coming back to my palette. Every time you see me going back to my palette, now you see I got a little dry there, and all you have to do is come back, load more paint, okay, and go right back over. And like I said, I can go back over with a small brush after, when I have time, and I can smooth out any rough edges I may have. Now, with this canvas, okay, it is much easier. If you're using a student grade canvas, it's the tooth is so wide on a lot of those that it's very, very hard to smooth. This, you can see I can go right over and I can smooth it out much easier. Now, in my hand again, I have the lighter color. I'm going to dip in a little medium. My paint is starting to dry a little bit. I have a little water bottle here that you could always keep out, and you can just squirt your paints rather than dip your brush, and that helps a lot too. Loosens up your paint again. All right, so here I go. I'm going to I remember my pod shape went this way and down in the middle, okay? So since it's still wet, I can still blend it a little. I don't want to over blend it or I'm going to lose the shape, all right? Here I had like two sections. I had one right here, all right? There we go, and I had one right here. So you can see that I'm keeping the shape of the pods. There we go. Now, I would have liked to go a little slower, and I want to get some of this color in here, okay, because I saw this one is much different, but I'll just pull some of that down. All right, so I think that you hopefully are getting the idea of it. With the stamen that kind of hang down at the end, I'm not even cleaning my brush off with that lavender. I'm just going into some of the darker green that I have here, and I'm just going to pull these down, chisel edge on this angle brush, and watch how easy. Very gently, I'm not pushing the brush, I'm pulling. Okay, again, this is not so easy, okay? So this is something that you can practice. It's easier if you practice on wax paper, because it'll be nice and slippery for you there, okay? Or on palette paper, any kind of a paper like that, okay? So see what I did? I pushed on that one, and see, that's what happened. All right, I'm not going to fix it, but it's a good thing. I just want to show you what happens when you push, all right? There we go. So I'm just pulling these on. If you use the tip and pull the tip down, it's much easier. Now, when you're on a flat brush without the angle, you don't have to angle. You have to angle a little, but with this angle brush, you don't have to. You're just using the tip, and that's what I did here. Is I pushed a little, okay? So you can see that that's what happens if you forget that you're using an angle brush and think you're using a flat brush, okay? So there we go. I have some nice pods on there and some nice stamen hanging down, okay? At the end of the stamen, there's a little round section to it. So what I'll do is, since I just said it's round, I will come to a round brush, all right? And all I have to do is come in, and I'm just literally dabbing this on. Just dabbing, all right? Just to give this a little illusion of the little tips of those stamen that hang off the bottom, all right? Dab, dab. I just did a little circle there, all right? So I want to get some of these on so you can see how you can really start to add the detail. All right, and of course you can go back and make them exactly as they are to look like the little pods. I think that I need a little bit more variation in color there, all right? So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna go yet to another brush. I'm gonna take number 8 Filbert. I'm going into my lighter color, the light purple that I had. I'm gonna add a little more white and make a nice lavender, okay? So let's see if this is still a little bit damp. And that's a little bit too lavender, a little bit too light. So just wipe that off, brush in the water there, kind of got some of that paint off. And see what I'm doing? I'm just gonna blend it a little. This underneath paint is still a little wet, okay? So I still have that opportunity to blend. So that's a little bit more what I wanted, all right? I wanted to show you a little more definition in the pod, all right? I'm not sure if they do show that much definition. Sometimes they do, depends on which fuchsia it is, all right? But in my fuchsia, in Lucy Land, I could do it any way I want. So I am making them a little bit more pronounced. This way you can see better a little bit of shape in these pods, okay? And I'm gonna stand back a little bit and see if that helped, all right? Now, it did help, only this one needs to be blended a little more. See, when I stand back, then I can see where I want to adjust, okay? So I put a little water on there. I want to blend that out a little bit more. It looked a little choppy, and same thing. So like I said, you can work on this and go back and forth and back and forth. Get your colors the way you want them, okay? I like the idea of going around and doing a little neatening on this, all right? So just to let you know, the last couple minutes, that's probably what I would do. I would take a little brush and I would come around like this and I would start to neaten these edges up. All right, there we go. I would come back, put a few more leaves. I just have time to do a couple more, but just to show you, I can come around here. See, with the darker color, do a little outlining, neaten them up, can come in, put some nice lining in. Okay, so just to show you that you can keep working on this until you feel like they look pretty and like pods, like the pretty fuchsia pods that they are. All right, so just coming in, doing a couple more. And I think what I like to do for the last couple minutes is, or last minute, is I just want to come and put another leaf. I'm not even going to wash my brush out. It was in the water with some fuchsia on there, and I'm just double loading, and I'll put a couple of dark leaves, different color leaves. All right, so let's overlap a couple here. Now, see how I just had some of that fuchsia in there, that color, the fuchsia color, and you can come in and you can put different colors and really, really dress up your painting. All right, even have one coming at different angle like that. So see, once I start adding, if I were to add more leaves and leave some of this color in there for color harmony, it'll look very pretty, okay? So I think that's it for today. I'll work on this painting a little more while you take a look at the paint colors that are gonna roll across the bottom of the screen there. And thank you for tuning in. And please take a look at my, my other shows.